We'd like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com.
Sean Gamble, and a moment of silence for all of the victims.
Before the news.
On that night, in front of the Club Select or Select
we
Lounge.
uncover the truth.
Many two that lost their lives, and those who are suffering, and then those who witnessed what took place, because they're suffering too, out of fear, out of, again, uncertainty, out of not doing what's popular, which is to come forward and let the community know what they saw. Not just let the police know what they saw, but let the community know what they saw. You have officers that are in fear because if they're black and they're in a blue uniform, then they're finding out they're not as safe as a black man walking down the street or a black man who's out at a nightclub. So we're gonna have a moment of silence before we get started. Also, of course, for this day, which is the birthday or the birthday celebration of the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So on this day, we all would have to ask ourselves, what would King be doing? Would he be a part of a parade sponsored by a multinational corporation that many of them who were businesses that he fought against and protested against, and many of our mothers and fathers could not get in their stores downtown when Macy's was called Bambergers. Right. We couldn't get in there. Couldn't get in Hiccup. Couldn't get in Hoschels. Couldn't get in Bragger Gutmans. Couldn't get in Epstein's, whether it was Epstein's or Epstein's. They didn't want us in there. We couldn't get in Woolworth. We couldn't get in Cressages and Tommy Tucker and some of those other stores. So we're going to talk about that this afternoon, but I'm happy that all of you have taken time out of your busy schedule, as I said before, not to be a part of a parade, not to be a part of a charade, not to be a part of an event that's brought to you by and sponsored by a corporation, but this is sponsored by the people of Baltimore, the citizens of Baltimore, who've come out to show that they care. So if you would, let's just bow our heads and we'll have a moment of silence, again, for Dr. King, moment of silence for Officer Torbit, and a moment of silence for Sean Gamble and the other victims that were victims at front of the Select Club Lounge. So with that, just a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. All right. So again, I just want to start off by thanking all of you that have come out today. And of course, we would love to have had a warmer day and a warmer weather to bring you out on. But the forces that we're dealing with are colder than this weather in this city right now. The forces of racism, the forces of militarism, the forces of economic exploitation, the forces of police brutality, the forces of political, those who try to politically sanitize what occurred in front of the Select Lounge, those who say that we're politicizing this, those who are trying to minimize what occurred at the Select Lounge, to say that this is an isolated incident, but it's been ongoing, it's been going on too long. So as the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said, when the slain civil rights workers of Goodman, Swerner, and Cheney took place, he said it's not so much as important as who killed them as much as it is of what killed them. He said what killed them is the system. The system is what killed them. The system of racism. The system that says you shoot first and ask last. The system which says the end justifies the means. The system that we've been confronting and asking for not to redress but to change. This police department which we've been asking for to redress and to change their policies. And it emanates and starts from our politicians who are sworn to protect and serve the community, and they're supposed to set up policies, and the police department are to enforce the policy. But it's been going on for too long that we've lost good citizens in this city. We've lost unknown countless men and women.
It's Monday, January 17th. Police headquarters. Wyndal Gordon, how are you, sir? Can we talk to you for a second?
Yes, you can.
Good. Brother Daren, they're out here discussing this whole double homicide here in the city of Baltimore. You, as the warrior lawyer, have certainly been out there fighting and truly understand the role that the Baltimore City Police play in community relations, just as the beginning. Your thoughts, sir?
My thoughts is that this is a very humbling and sad occasion for the city of Baltimore. It seems that we're plagued by crime in this town and by senseless deaths and senseless acts of violence. I think there's too much gunplay in this town, and so much so that officers are killing officers. I don't know if they need to beef up their training, but there's a genuine fear of a people in this town that's leading to innocent citizens being killed in the streets, and there's not enough being done about it.
The mayor has called for an independent investigation. People from the legal community have suggested not just an independent investigation, but a federal investigation. From a legal standpoint, your thoughts?
I think a federal investigation would be more like it. I don't trust an independent investigation. I mean, that's one neighboring county investigating another neighboring county to ensure that the reputation of the local police department is not impaired by all that's taking place. But this has to be embarrassing to Baltimore City Police Department that the only ones out there firing weapons on the street that evening were the police, and they're shooting each other. And for that to occur, I mean, that whole department must be in disarray. They don't know their colleagues from one another. They come in, they shoot first. I mean, they're so hell-bent on killing any potential suspect that they're not even conscious enough to make a decision or to know that they're killing themselves.
Jay Wyndal, there are a lot of sentiments in the street when the police spokesperson, Mr. Cherry, for the FOP, Fraternal Order of Police, questioned the mayor's call for an independent investigation, asking if the city isn't confident that the police could effectively investigate themselves. Was that a ludicrous notion?
I think indeed it was ludicrous, and I don't believe the city is confident to investigate themselves. I mean, what are they going to say at the end of the day? We were wrong? Has the city ever come out and said they were wrong?
No, sir.
We've heard of multiple settlements that have been entered into by the city. None of those settlements that have been entered into by the city as a result of police conduct has the city ever admitted they were wrong. It wasn't until last week when I was able to obtain a judgment for a young man by the name of Deon Johnson, in which the jury awarded him $113,000, was the city even put on notice that there's a problem. $60,000 of that judgment was punitive damages. The compensatory damages award was only $50,000. So that jury sent a loud and clear message to Baltimore City that their behavior is unconscionable and will not be tolerated. So no, I have no faith in the Baltimore City Police Department investigating themselves. And I think it would be more aptly done by the federal government.
One of the things Dr. King aimed at, particularly near the end, was looking at the economic impact of the black dollar, or the dollar at all. When you think of the bus boycotts and the financial impact that had on the industry, what will the impact of continuous lawsuits against the Baltimore City Police Department do to the city of Baltimore?
They could wipe out all the lawsuits if they would train their officers. They need sensitivity training, they need constitutional law training, and they need use of force training. They're in disarray and they're out of control. And you know it's bad when they're killing each other. I just have to repeat that. There's too much gunplay by the police, there's too much gunplay by the criminals, and when you're killing each other, if at no other time, this is the time to reflect and do some introspection and figure out what you can do better. And that's what Baltimore City Police Department needs to do. They need to do better.
Thank you so much for your time. Jay Wyndal Gordon, the Warrior Lawyer.
That means he would not be at the funeral of Officer Torbit. And that's the real issue. Where are you going to lead from, the back or the front? So if you're not the city, you can't lead at all. And when the family needs you, to respond to their questions, then the commissioner has not made himself available. The mayor has not made herself available. Sorry, the Baltimore City Council President, Jack Young, has not made himself available.
That's right.
Now is the time, as Dr. King said, when there's a crisis, when real leadership has to step up. You don't step back, you got to step up when there's a crisis.
That's right.
And this is a crisis of proportions that we've never seen in this city.
The news
I mean,
before
of
the news.
major proportions. And you had those who said that they would put in a system of checks and balances.